The Master's Mysteries, Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 1. On the outskirts of Kixia Mountain in Nandu Jingling, the autumn wind was cool, and the leaves had turned yellow. Except for the occasional chirping of insects, it was very desolate. In the middle of the night, a strange person appeared on the desolate mountain road. This person, at this time of the year, was still wearing tattered clothes, with disheveled hair and a yellow complexion. There was a dull smile on his face. What's even stranger is that this person walked in a very peculiar manner, as they say, going along the crooked path. Despite the awkward steps, he ventured into the deep forest of the mountains in the middle of the night. Little did this person know that as soon as he entered this mountain forest, he was being watched by a pair of eyes. Just as he reached a small path at the edge of the forest near a small cliff, a translucent slime suddenly shot out from the bushes. This slime, like a strong rope, instantly pulled him into the dense forest. Underneath this cliff was impenetrable shrubbery. Once dragged in, there would be no trace of a person left. Only the sound of a body maneuvering through the bushes could be heard. Normally, if a person disappeared in the depths of the mountains at midnight, no one would ever know. However, at this moment, behind a large tree on the cliff, a pair of eyes were continuously observing the entire incident. Ah, he's indeed here. Let's go. It's about time for us. This person was probably in his 20s and looked spirited. However, strangely enough, there was a big rat with a tuft of red fur perched on his arm, and he was speaking to the peculiar rat. The young man tracked his way and found an inconspicuous small cave hidden behind the chaotic rocks of the half-cliff. This cave entrance was at best half a person's height. As soon as he stood at the entrance, a foul cold wind blew towards him. It seemed that the inside had a vast space, and there was something moving inside. The red-furred rat led the way and went into the cave. The young man followed closely behind, crouching as he walked about 10 meters. Unexpectedly, the space inside gradually widened, and after walking for a while, the red-furred rat stopped and squeaked twice. It was then that the young man noticed that the red-furred rat had found another narrow opening ahead. The stench emanating from inside was even stronger, indicating that it should be the lair of the creature causing harm. This is the place. The young man controlled his breathing and cautiously looked inside. He saw a spacious area within the cave entrance. However, there was a spider web covering a space of nearly 10 meters in diameter above, and the person who was just dragged away was now entangled in the web. The beggar-like fellow was struggling on the spider web at this moment, but for some reason, he still had that dull smile on his face. Beneath the spider web, there were piles of white bones. Judging by the accumulated white bones on the ground, it was evident that this demonic spider had been lurking here for some time, having killed dozens of people at least. Just as the young man was about to examine it carefully, he suddenly felt a violent vibration from the spider web. He quickly looked deeper into the cave, only to see several red lights illuminating in the depths of a side cave. Then, a dark, gloomy head emerged. It turned out to be a giant spider as big as a yak. Seeing that its prey was already trapped, it crawled over along a thick spider silk. The man, for some unknown reason, despite still struggling, had that silly smile on his face and made no sound. This giant demon spider was incredibly fast. In almost an instant, it arrived beside the man. Its sharp mouthparts pierced towards him, but at that moment, white smoke suddenly emerged from the man's body. As the white smoke dissipated, the man who was alive and kicking just a moment ago suddenly turned into a straw man made of thatched grass. He wore a tattered coarse cloth robe and had a piece of paper talisman stuck to his chest. "Hey, how do you like it? Is the straw man delicious?" The giant spider stared blankly at the straw man in front of it. Suddenly, a provocative voice came from behind. It turned out that the straw man was an illusion created by the young man, specifically used to lure the spider out. At this moment, the giant demon spider realized it had been tricked and became extremely angry that someone had intruded into its territory. It turned around, and its several blood-red eyes locked onto the young man. One could see that apart from its gigantic size, there were facial protrusions resembling human faces on its back. You should have stayed here and cultivated the spiritual energy of the heavens and earth. Instead, you resorted to eating humans. You brought this upon yourself, unable to live. The young man knew that this spider was called the Nine-Yin Demon Spider. Originally, it was a spiritual creature in the world, but it had fallen into the demonic path. With each meal it consumed, a flesh lump resembling a human face would grow. This Nine-Yin Demon Spider was a venomous creature with a fierce poison. Once captured, a person would first be wrapped in sticky spider silk, and no matter how strong their body was, they couldn't break free. Afterward, the spider would inject a terrifying venom into the person's body. This venom would gradually dissolve their body into a pool of flesh juice. However, the poisoned person wouldn't die immediately. They would be conscious and witness themselves slowly turning into a puddle of pus. One can imagine the intense pain, extreme fear, and helpless despair experienced as their body was melted by the venom. Because the process of death is cruel and painful, those who are killed by the demon spider bear heavy resentment. The demon spider imprisons their souls within its body to aid in its cultivation. Over time, twisted faces and tumors form on its back. At this moment, there are already dozens of tumors on the back of the demon spider. If it devours more people, it will likely transform into a giant monster, becoming even more difficult to deal with. The demon spider, now bloodthirsty, glared at the young man with a fierce red light in its eyes. Suddenly, its body trembled violently, emitting a sharp and piercing hissing sound. As soon as the demon spider made its cry, a rustling sound echoed throughout the cave. It seemed like tens of thousands of pointed legs were crawling on the ground. Indeed, in no time, dozens of large spiders crawled out of the surrounding small caves. These spiders were much smaller in size compared to the demon spider, but they were several times larger than ordinary spiders. They had a grim human face pattern on their backs. In less than 10 seconds, there were over 100 of them gathered. The hundreds of human-faced spiders rushed towards the young man like a tide. He knew that the demon spider was female, while these human-faced spiders were all males. They intended to protect the mother spider in the web. These human-faced spiders were highly venomous, and being bitten by them would be extremely unpleasant. Ahu, it's your turn now. However, the young man didn't seem worried. He turned to the rat on his shoulder and gave it a command. Upon receiving the instruction, the rat raised its head and let out a sharp cry, as if issuing commands as well. Sure enough, as soon as the red-haired rat's cry ended, a large group of red-eyed, frenzied rats rushed in from the entrance of the cave. The number was easily over 100, and they were all of considerable size. As soon as this group of rats entered the cave, they pounced on the human-faced spiders, tearing and biting ferociously. For a while, the entire cave was filled with the sounds of spiders and rats in a fierce struggle, chaotic and entangled. It's worth mentioning that the agile rats were more adept at maneuvering. Soon, the rat army gnawed the human-faced spiders into pieces. Although the human-faced spiders were highly venomous, the red-eyed rats were not afraid at all. On the contrary, the taste of the spiders was extremely tempting to them. In the blink of an eye, the hundreds of human-faced spiders were devoured completely, and the battle between the spiders and rats came to an end. How about that? It's your turn now. The young man no longer paid attention to the rat army cleaning up the battlefield. His eyes were once again fixed on the Nine-Yin Demon Spider. The demon spider, seeing that all the human-faced spiders protecting it had been killed, intensified its angry red glow. Suddenly, it turned around on the spider web, pointing its rear end at the young man. It turned out that this was the demon spider's method of attack. It forcefully sprayed several strands of dark purple silk from its abdomen, swiftly aiming towards the young man. He couldn't afford to be careless and quickly dodge. He understood that although the silk resembled a sticky liquid before hardening, it contained deadly venom. If it touched his body, his flesh would rot away, not even leaving behind bone fragments. The young man's body was agile, constantly evading the silk's attacks. Nice speed. Despite facing the swift attacks of the venomous silk, he didn't show the slightest trace of fear on his face. Instead, he seemed somewhat excited, indicating that this young man not only possessed extraordinary courage, but also considerable skill. Upon closer inspection, each time the venomous silk landed on the ground, it would rise into a black-purple smoke, corroding the ground and leaving a deep pit. This demonstrated the tremendous toxicity of the demon spider, as even a slight mistake could lead to irreversible consequences. Seeing this, the young man became determined. After evading several rounds of the venomous silk's attacks, he reached for his waist and took out 5 copper coins. At this moment, another strand of silk attacked, but he quickly rolled on the ground to avoid it. Then, as soon as his body steadied, he swiftly raised his hand and shot out the 5 copper coins. However, the young man's target was not the demon spider itself. The copper coins embedded deeply into the rocky wall behind the demon spider, each one landing precisely in one of the 5 elemental positions. It was evident that the young man possessed exceptional strength. Experience my 5 elements formation. The positions where the 5 copper coins were embedded seemed to be of great significance. They represented the positions of the 5 elements. The demon spider suddenly sensed danger and stopped its attack. It kept glancing at the copper coins, emitting a dangerous aura. Just as the young man finished speaking, the 5 copper coins suddenly emitted 5 golden lights, forming a barrier around the demon spider. Sensing the danger, the demon spider turned around and tried to escape. However, despite its limbs struggling, it couldn't move its body. It seemed to be trapped within the formation. At this moment, the young man reached into his waist again and took out 2 talismans. He calmly made hand gestures while chanting words. The young man continuously chanted incantations and made constant hand gestures. The 2 talismans in his hands kept emanating radiant light, as if responding to the young man's utterance of the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, earth. Suddenly, the young man flicked the talismans, and flames instantly ignited on both of them. While continuing his incantations, the young man crouched down and placed the 2 talismans on the positions representing the sky and the earth. The 5 elements align, summoning the heavenly soldiers. 5 elements heavenly fire formation. Activate. With 2 hand seals, he shouted, "Activate." What he initiated was the 5 elements heavenly fire formation. The sound of formation activate resonated loudly in the cave, while from the positions of the 5 copper coins, 5 tongues of fire suddenly shot out, aiming towards the demon spider within the formation. The flames within this formation were all heavenly fire, possessing the power to incinerate everything. The sticky spider silk was instantly ignited, illuminating the dark underground space. The trap set by the demon spider turned into a massive fire net that trapped itself. The fire net tightly entangled the demon spider. No matter how it struggled, it couldn't break free. The agonizing screams of the demon spider echoed through the empty underground cave. Gradually, a burnt smell filled the air as its limbs were charred within the fire net. The heavenly fire in the formation was truly formidable. The large 9-yin demon spider couldn't withstand it. Soon, its entire body was engulfed in raging flames. At first, it struggled, but it was quickly reduced to a charred stump. Still can't use the heavenly fire formation. The spider web was burned through, and the demon spider fell to the ground. The young man didn't avoid the burning spider. Instead, he took a few steps towards it. Heaven, earth, humans, and ghosts, I am the master. The fire virtue, true Lord, is with me. The young man simultaneously chanted a fire protection incantation, while swiftly reaching towards the spider engulfed in flames. Luckily, I didn't destroy this spider's pill. The young man's movements were precise and quick. In the blink of an eye, he retrieved a fiery red pill from the spider's body. It seemed that the pill had not been touched by the heavenly fire. Ahoo! It's time to leave. The young man placed the fiery red pill into his waist and turned back to greet someone in the cave. Surprisingly, it was a red-haired rat on top of the head of a face-eating spider. Let's clarify here. This young man's name is Liao Fengdi, a local from Jinling. He grew up learning skills from his master in motion. After his master inexplicably disappeared, he wandered through the wild forests and mountains. After Liao Fengdi killed the 9-yin demon spider and obtained the spider's pill, he leisurely walked downhill with Ahu, the red-haired rat. They enjoyed the cool mountain breeze, feeling quite content. Tomorrow, let's sell it to the Medicine King Old Ghost. We'll buy some pastries to treat you and your kin. After tracking for 3 whole days, we finally obtained this top-grade spider pill. Liao Fenghi and Ahu were already thinking about enjoying a relaxed period after selling it. However, at that moment, Ahu suddenly squeaked twice. Liao Fenghi understood the rat language and knew that it had made a discovery. He turned his head and followed Ahu's indication, looking down the hillside. At first glance, something strange caught their eyes. Liao Fenghi moved extremely fast, like an arrow, and swiftly leaped into the bushes on the side of the road. Carefully, he looked down the mountain road. On the quiet mountain road below, there was a woman walking. In the feudal era, it was unusual for an ordinary woman to go out at night, especially in the sparsely populated deep mountains. Liao Fenghi had night vision and could see clearly. He noticed that the woman's walking posture was stiff, her face devoid of expression, and her eyes empty. He understood that her mind was being controlled. The woman mechanically walked forward, and the direction she was heading was toward the Kingliu Manor on the outskirts of Jinling. It seems we have another matter to attend to. This matter is very strange and peculiar, but since we stumbled upon it, we can't just ignore it. Liao Fenghi didn't approach to stop the woman but quietly followed behind her. The two of them, one in front and one behind, entered the small town of Kingliu Manor, which didn't have a large population. A greater battle against evil is about to unfold. The Master's Mysteries. Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 2. In the previous episode, Liao Feng killed the 9-yin spider and obtained the spider essence pill. As he was leaving the mountain, he noticed a girl walking in a strange manner, seemingly possessed. Curious, he followed her all the way to the town of Kingliu Manor. Although the girl seemed unaware, she was drawn by some force and walked through the alley towards an impressive mansion. Liao Feng, in order to uncover the mastermind behind all this, remained hidden in the shadows, carefully observing. What? Ahu, you said the mastermind revealed themselves. Squeak, squeak. Just as the girl mechanically walked up to the grand mansion's door, the large rat on Liao Feng's shoulder suddenly let out 2 squeaks. I want to see who it is exactly. Seeing the situation, Liao Feng didn't rush out, but continued to observe from behind the wall. True enough, he spotted a figure on top of the mansion's gate tower. Hey, finally, you've come. Liao Feng's night vision was excellent, and he could clearly see that the figure was a tattered old Taoist. As soon as he saw the girl approaching, the old Taoist's eyes brightened, and he immediately stood up. Let me, Tao Lord, wait for so long. Not bad. You're quite beautiful. After all this time, let me show you what I can do. The girl walked into the mansion's courtyard in a dull manner, while the old Taoist mumbled to himself and also stood up, not forgetting to adjust his pants with a lewd expression. So, he's a demon cultivator. Ahu, take cover. Watch how I deal with this evil cultivator. Liao Feng was now infuriated. He despised those who used demonic arts under the guise of cultivation to harm others. He instructed Ah Hu to hide and reached for a ink jade flying pendant hanging from his waist. Summon your weapons. Liao Feng's skills were exceptional. With a movement of his shoulder, the stone in his hand flew like a lightning bolt with the wind. As for the old Taoist, he was no slouch either. He had just planned to jump down from the gate tower when he suddenly felt a gust of wind by his ear. Hastily turning his head, he saw a dark little object flying towards him. Smack! The flying stone was incredibly fast. Coupled with the old Taoist's mid-jump movement, he couldn't evade it in time. It struck him right on target. The old Taoist lost his balance instantly and fell from the gate tower without even having to jump, resulting in a not-so-light fall. Damn it! Who the hell is scheming against this Tao Lord? The infuriated old Taoist cursed loudly. However, one could tell that he had some skill sense. Aside from the large bump on his forehead, he wasn't seriously injured. Seeing the old Taoist being hit, Liao Feng swiftly rushed towards the mansion, leaping onto the gate tower. Demon cultivator, how dare you? As a cultivator, you dare to harm innocent women. After stabilizing himself on the gate tower, Liao Feng saw the despicable-looking old Taoist struggling to get up from the ground. Today, I'll let you taste the heavens and learn your lesson. The cycle of karma will not be lenient. Liao Feng didn't give the old Taoist a chance to catch his breath. He leaped into the air, delivering a powerful kick towards the old Taoist. Harming innocent women. Hey, wait a minute. The old Taoist didn't expect the young man's actions to be so swift. He barely comprehended the other's words when the kick landed right in front of him, causing him to hastily dodge backward. You misunderstood. But Liao Feng was too fast for the old Taoist to react. Before he could say anything, Liao Feng's knee struck him on the forehead. Misunderstood. With this strike, the old Taoist was sent flying 3 meters away, landing heavily on the ground. I saw it with my own eyes. Stop. Stop. You misunderstood. You dare to argue, you demon cultivator. Liao Feng was faster than the old Taoist, and before the latter could turn over, Liao Feng pressed his knee on top of him. What nonsense are you spouting? Look at that girl. Did she get touched by it? The old Taoist cried out in pain, and this statement finally clarified everything. He hurriedly asked Liao Feng to look up at the girl who had just entered the courtyard. Look, look, it's that tree demon. Liao Feng raised his head and took a deep breath as he looked into the deep part of the courtyard. A chill ran through him, only to see the girl standing under a thick and large willow tree in the courtyard. At this moment, many vine-like tendrils were hanging down from the tree, tightly entangling the girl and pulling her towards the crown of the tree. What's the use of apologizing? Hurry up and save her. Oh, I see. I'm sorry then. Seeing this situation, Liao Feng finally realized that he had misunderstood the old Taoist. He quickly jumped down from the old Taoist's body and kept apologizing. Master Tao, don't worry. Leave it to me. Actually, there was no need for the old Taoist to remind him. Liao Feng immediately pulled up the old Taoist and rushed towards the willow tree. Stop. Who are you people? But just as they had run a few steps, the two had to stop because suddenly many strong men rushed out of the courtyard. Who are these intruders? How dare they trespass into my Zhang family? It turned out that these two had fought back and forth several times, causing quite a commotion. It had already alerted the servants in this large mansion. At this moment, the servants surrounded the two with clubs in their hands. Don't worry. The girl won't die. Step aside. There's a demon in your mansion, and we're here to save her. Liao Feng was eager to save the girl, so he quickly explained their purpose, hoping to persuade this group of people to step aside and not become their enemies. Demon, I think it's the two of you. Look at your suspicious faces. Quickly hand over our young miss. At this moment, the girl had already been dragged into the crown of the tree, and the willow tree had returned to normal. No one believed their words. Instead, Liao Feng and the old Taoist were mistaken for demons. Get lost. Who has a suspicious face? Who is the demon? You, kid, have implicated me. Taoist, indeed. Looking at the scar on your face, you really don't seem like a good person. Hearing this, Liao Feng couldn't help but be furious. It seemed that he was being dragged down by the old Taoist with his creepy appearance. But unexpectedly, the old Taoist was the first to mock him. If they are demons, we will recognize them as soon as we see them. Liu Mama, go and have a look. Yes. Is it them? At this moment, a well-dressed man walked out from behind the crowd. Listening to the servant's words, he was none other than the master of this mansion, Mr. Zhang. He gestured for an elderly lady with many wrinkles on her face to come over. Let this old man take a look. I say, old lady, can you still open your eyes? Who said I can't open my eyes? I can see everything clearly. This old lady seems to have encountered the so-called demons before. Now she walks unsteadily and approaches the two, taking a few glances. Suddenly, she shouts at Liao Feng, startling both of them. They are afraid of being blamed by this old lady with her blurry vision. It's really a confusing situation that cannot be explained even with 100 mouths. They are not. Fortunately, although this old lady is startled, she is not confused. Who are you people? Those demons look much better than the two of you. Upon hearing the old lady's statement that the two individuals are not the ones they intended to capture, Mr. Zhang's expression slightly eased. However, he remained cold as he inquired about the identities of the two and their purpose for trespassing in the middle of the night. There's a girl. That's why I came. This old Taoist. And then, step aside. Let this ordinary person speak. To be honest, it's not good to simply explain why they broke into someone's place in the middle of the night, especially when accompanied by an unknown old Taoist. Liao Feng was in a dilemma, but the old Taoist pushed him aside abruptly. I am Chen Tuan, the transcendent being from Shanking immortal ancestor. Originally, I traveled to spread teachings and relieve the suffering of the world. But unexpectedly, as I passed by this place, I sensed overwhelming demonic energy causing harm to humanity. Thus, I took action to eliminate the demons and exterminate evil. Liao Feng never expected that the old Taoist would continue with a series of words, speaking so sincerely. As a celestial being, I observed the celestial phenomena and calculated that this evil creature originated from your mansion. It has caused numerous harm, so I have come to eradicate the demon. Well, the old Taoist lost his previous lewd appearance long ago. Now his voice was as loud as a bell, his words filled with compassion. His exaggerated mannerisms even had a hint of celestial grace. You ordinary mortals, bow down and welcome the esteemed Taoist. Taoist, bring the celestial dace and assist me in performing magic. The act went too far, making it appear fake. Liao Feng understood that the old Taoist in front of him was an experienced wanderer in the martial world. His set of words was probably the same everywhere, and nobody would be foolish enough to believe them. I beg for forgiveness, Venerable Chen Tuan. For us ordinary people, we hope the immortal master will not be angry. Unexpectedly, what unfolded before Liao Feng exceeded his expectations. The scripted performance was unbelievably fake. Yet not only did these people believe it, they all kneeled down, showing utmost devotion. Venerable Master, there truly is a demon causing trouble in my house. Please, immortal Master, eradicate the demon. Upon hearing the earnest plea of Mr. Zhang, Liao Feng finally understood why they would genuinely believe it. It turns out that there really is a demon causing trouble in this household, and it has harmed people. The humble Taoist predicted this long ago and came here to eradicate the demon along with this young friend. Master Taoist, you don't need to bring me along. We are not acquainted. That old Taoist seemed eager to continue the act, making a gesture and singing loudly, pretending to be the heavenly sovereign. it can be considered as carrying on with the show. Madam, have you seen that demon? Yes, immortal master. Then please tell me in detail. Certainly. At this point, Liao Feng had nothing to say. Regardless of whether the old Taoist was deceiving people or not, with the cooperation of the household, dealing with the tree demon became much easier. It was 3 days ago, when the young lady was resting. As the old Taoist asked, the old lady's expression immediately turned serious. After coughing a couple of times, she began recounting a strange incident that occurred in the Zhang mansion 3 days ago. It turns out that the young lady of the Zhang household only had this old woman serving her. Due to her old age, the young lady never let her stay up at night and had her sleep in a separate room. But on that night 3 days ago, the old lady was suddenly awakened by a strange sound. The old lady got up and saw a man with green hair taking her young lady out of the house. "Hey, to be able to see me, it seems your lifespan is nearing its end." The man had fair skin and was somewhat handsome, but his words were unpleasant. Meanwhile, the young lady from the household seemed completely unaware, following him blankly. "Miss, where are you going?" The man left with just a few words, taking the young lady with him. This terrified the old lady. The young lady venturing out with a man in the middle of the night could be a disastrous scandal if it got out. "Miss, come back quickly." The old lady had difficulty moving, but when she managed to get up and chase after them, the man and the young lady were already far away. No matter how the old lady called out, Miss Zhang didn't respond. The old lady stumbled after them and saw them reach the large willow tree in the courtyard. Suddenly, a white smoke rose, and the man and the young lady disappeared. Immediately after, the white smoke formed into a grotesque face and lunged menacingly toward the old lady. The old lady, who had lived nearly 80 years, had never witnessed such a terrifying scene. She was so frightened that she gasped, and everything went black as she lost consciousness. Since that day, our young lady never returned. She must have been harmed by that demon. The old lady recounted what she had seen, trembling with fear. Both the old Taoist and Liao Feng realized that the old lady's time was indeed running out, just as the demon had claimed. It seems we'll have to make some effort. Who would have thought that this thing had already cultivated a human form? Both of them understood that since the willow tree demon had already taken human form, its cultivation was not shallow. Now that it had also lured several women, there must be some great conspiracy at play. Please, immortal master, you must save our family. We are willing to do anything you command. When the elder Zhang saw the old Taoist furrow his brow, he hurriedly knelt down and pleaded, "Exterminating demons and upholding justice is my duty. I will do my best, but you also need to prepare some items to assist me in subduing the demon." "Master Taoist, what should we prepare?" At this moment, the old Taoist's expression became resolute, showing a hint of chivalry. There was no way they would leave these two alone in this matter. "Please instruct us, immortal master. We will prepare a top-quality feast. The wine should come from Xinghua village, and we must have roasted chicken as part of the meal. But what should we prepare for capturing demons and dealing with monsters? What do we need? Well then, get ready." However, as the story continues, the true nature of this old Taoist swindler will be exposed. The Master's Mysteries, Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 3. As per the old Taoist's request, the Zhang family was busy in the middle of the night, preparing a table full of food and drinks. It tastes so good. Although Liao Fengyi is not a refined gentleman, he knows that he has been a bit indiscreet today. But it's not his fault that his self-control is weak. He hasn't eaten anything for 2 days because of that 9-yen Rakshasa spider. Forgive me, Master Tao. I've been improper. In addition to the extraordinary cooking skills of the Zhang family, Liao Fengyi finally felt satisfied after devouring 4 bowls of rice. But when he looked across at the old Taoist, he realized what it meant to be outdone. It turns out that in front of the old Taoist, the bowls had piled up like a small mountain. He was devouring the oily beef dumplings, one after another, as if he hadn't eaten for months. Master Tao, do we also need to eat? Even immortals have to eat, right? Since the ancient ancestor has reincarnated, should we maintain a certain appearance? Hearing Liao Fengyi's reminder, the old Taoist's face turned red, but his mouth didn't stop. With every word he spoke, the table was sprayed with soup. Master Tao, what else can we do? Watching the servants stare wide-eyed and dumbfounded while the two of them devoured their food, only when they were nearly finished did they ask about the demon subduing matter. Later, I will battle the tree demon for 300 rounds. There will be dangerous sword play. Wiping the oil off the corner of his mouth, the old Taoist poured himself another glass of wine and put on a look of profound Taoism. To avoid harming the innocent, I suggest you temporarily leave the manor and take shelter. Yes, we'll trouble you, Master Tao. After boasting about his ability to deal with monsters and ghosts, the old Taoist sent the Zhang family's servants away. Then we shall take our leave. Master Tao, we support you mentally. As soon as the old Taoist finished speaking, the people in the room dispersed, leaving only Liao Fengyi and the old Taoist. They ran away so quickly. By the way, Master Tao, do you have any plans to deal with the tree demon? The old Taoist's arrangement actually coincided with Liao Fengyi's thoughts. After all, with these people around, there would be considerations when it came to fighting the tree demon. Water nurtures wood, but it won't work. Among the 5 elements, the tree demon belongs to the wood element. And as for metal, it's probably not easy to harm the tree demon. When Liao Fengyi asked about the plan for demon subduing, the old Taoist, while drinking, began to recite and discuss the principles of heaven, earth, yin, yang, and the transformation of the 5 elements. So, we'll use fire. After reciting a long lecture on the principles of heaven, earth, yin, yang, and the 5 elements, the old Taoist pounded the table, deciding on a fire attack. Regardless of what kind of tree demon it is, a fire will turn it all to charcoal. Although the old Taoist's behavior was somewhat inappropriate, what he said actually made sense. With charcoal, we can roast pork, beef, chicken. Haha, I'm so clever, haha. But he couldn't maintain seriousness for more than a minute and quickly went downhill. Master Tao, I understand what you said. However, I don't think we should use the fire attack recklessly. After listening carefully to the old Taoist's plan, Liao Fengyi didn't want to try the fire attack easily. Those captured women might still have a chance. Based on what the Zhang family said and the missing girls tonight, the tree demon has already captured several girls. Their lives are uncertain. If any of them are still alive, the fire attack might harm them. Do not harm the innocent. Master, you. Liao Fengyi explained his analysis and wanted to seek the old Taoist's opinion, but when he turned around, he almost got his nose crooked. Snore. Roasted suckling pig. The pig trotters are mine. While discussing the matter of demon subduing, the old Taoist drank a whole jug of wine, got drunk, and fell asleep on the table, snoring and talking in his sleep, with drool and saliva flowing. It seems I have to rely on myself. Listening to the loud snoring, it was clear that the old Taoist couldn't be awakened. What kind of immortal is he? Besides mooching off others, he doesn't seem to have any real skills. Ahuo, put away your pathetic appearance. It seems we can't rely on the old Taoist. Liao Fengyi turned and called Ahuo, but who knew this guy had weak self-control too. He had been infected by the old Taoist and was currently devouring half a pig trotter, his belly bulging. Time to get to work. Ahu, do you know that you suddenly gained a lot of weight? Upon hearing Liao Fengyi calling him, he finally moved and jumped onto Liao Fengyi's arm. This person and rat duo closed the door of the broken old Taoist and turned to the big willow tree in the backyard. All right, it's time to start. Liao Fengyi sat down and let Ahu lie in front of him. He took out 2 silver needles from a small wooden box in his pocket. Go, Ahu. One needle carefully pierced Ahu's back head, while the other was inserted into Liao Fengyi's temple. With a shout from Liao Fengyi, the action began. Receiving Liao Fengyi's command, the spiritual rat Ahu leaped towards the giant willow tree that would require 4 or 5 people to embrace. After observing and finding no danger, Ahu swiftly climbed up the tree. When he reached the crown of the tree, he discovered that the giant willow tree's trunk was actually hollow, and there was a dark tree hole in the middle of the sturdy trunk. At this moment, Liao Fengyi sat cross-legged in the courtyard without moving, but in fact, he connected his soul consciousness with Ahu through the silver needles. Through Ahu's perspective, Liao Fengyi could see everything inside the tree trunk. The situation inside the trunk was just as he analyzed. Like all wood-type monsters, this tree demon had built a huge underground cave using tree roots. After observing for a while, Ahu climbed deeper into the tree hole through the complex willow tree roots. Ahu walked for a good 10 meters, seemingly surpassing the height of the trunk, and delved deep underground. Sure enough, at the bottom of the big tree, there was a huge space formed by a tree root, and a white-haired man was sitting inside. Within that tree hole, 2 girls were suspended by tree roots, their lives unknown. A long tubular object was deeply inserted into their mouths, continuously absorbing something. On the ground of the underground cave, there were several corpses of women who had already turned into dry corpses. They appeared as if all the moisture in their bodies had been sucked dry, with skin as dry as tree bark and white hair, a horrifying and terrifying sight. As for the girl who had just been lured here tonight, she was currently suspended in midair by multiple tree roots controlled by the tree demon. The moment the tree demon moved, the girl fell to the ground. Then several roots retreated, and another tubular object was inserted into the girl's throat. It was evident that the girl was in great pain, but she couldn't move at all. She just kept trembling in a strange manner. As the girl gradually lost consciousness due to the immense pain, the tree demon appeared very satisfied. The long tubular object connected to the tree demon's body was absorbing a certain kind of energy from the girl's body and transferring it to himself. Gradually, the tree demon's skin, which had been as withered as dead wood, began to regain its luster. Liao Fengyi knew that the tree demon was absorbing the girl's pure yin energy. Who dares to intrude upon my dwelling? While the tree demon was greedily absorbing the life energy, a faint cracking sound suddenly came from behind. This surprised him, and he immediately turned fierce eyes towards Ahu. As soon as Ahu realized that he successfully drew the tree demon's attention, he turned around and rushed towards the top of the tree hole. However, 2 long tree roots attacked Ahu like agile serpents. The tree roots came fiercely, and Ahu couldn't afford to be negligent. He swiftly ran out of the tree hole, with the 2 tree roots closely following behind. Ahu, who thought he had escaped the disaster, never expected the tree roots to be even faster. Before Ahu's body could touch the ground, he was entangled by the tree roots. The more they tightened around him, Ahu could almost hear the creaking of his bones. Ahu screamed with all his might, calling out for Liao Fengyi. "Don't worry, Ahu." In fact, how could Liao Fengyi, whose soul consciousness was connected to Ahu, not know? As soon as he saw Ahu in danger, he was already prepared. At this moment, Liao Fengyi reached for a golden coin dart at his waist and threw it. The golden coin dart was a copper coin, and its edges were as sharp as a knife when it rapidly rotated in the air. A flash of golden light cut the tree roots into 2 pieces, freeing Ahu from captivity. "Ahu, you've worked hard." As soon as Ahu touched the ground, he jumped onto Liao Fengyi's shoulder. But before the two could catch their breath, they felt the ground beneath them shake, and soon, countless roots emerged from underground. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of long roots burst out of the ground, twisting and writhing, with the giant willow tree at the center. Hundreds of roots danced like agile serpents, appearing extremely terrifying. At this moment, another unexpected event caught Liao Fengyi's attention. Where did this kid come from? How dare you interrupt my cultivation? The harmful tree demon finally revealed itself. Are you the celestial master sent by the Zhang family? The tree demon had transformed into human form, and by the looks of it, he had at least 1,000 years of cultivation. He thought that he had harmed Miss Zhang from the Zhang family, so they called a celestial master to exterminate him. That's right. As a demon that harms people, you deserve to be eliminated by everyone. Liao Fengyi stared coldly at the tree demon, without offering any further explanation. Perfect timing. I need the blood of a celestial master to break through this barrier. You came just in time. Upon hearing Liao Fengyi's words, a ferocious smile immediately appeared on the face of the tree demon. Kid, offer up your essence blood. As soon as the tree demon finished speaking, the hundreds of roots boiled simultaneously, rushing towards Liao Fengyi like a swarm of snakes. The Master's Mysteries, Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 4. Go to Hell. The tree demon's root system was massive. As soon as it sensed an intruder, dozens of roots suddenly burst from the ground. I knew you would come. Take this. The twisting and wriggling roots attacked Liao Fengyi with the speed of venomous snakes, but he remained calm and composed. In the blink of an eye, the roots reached Liao Fengyi. He skillfully dodged the attacks, but it seemed like the roots had eyes, closely following his every move. Let's see how long you can dodge. Liao Fengyi knew that it wasn't the roots acting on their own, but rather the tree demon controlling them. To truly escape, he had to deal with the tree demon itself. Liao Fengyi's evasive maneuvers were not random. He constantly circled around the giant willow tree, avoiding the root attacks while occasionally bending down to touch the ground. In fact, Liao Fengyi had a plan. He had placed several yellow paper talismans on the ground. In no time, Liao Fengyi attached the talismans to 7 specific positions around the giant willow tree, forming a grand formation. Evil thoughts in life, gods and Buddhists know. Wickedness born on earth shall face heavenly punishment. With the completion of the 7 talismans, Liao Fengyi stopped evading. He knelt down on one of the positions to the east of the giant willow tree, his hands forming seals as he chanted a spell. You have quite the audacity. Seeing his relentless attacks being interrupted by Liao Fengyi's spellcasting, the tree demon roared and increased its offensive. Wooden fiend, raging heavenly fire. Burn mountains, boil seas, and destroy all living beings. More root systems converged and surged toward Liao Fengyi, but he seemed unaffected, focusing on his hand seals and reciting the incantation faster. Thunderous fire formation. In an instant, thick and sturdy roots coiled around Liao Fengyi, resembling giant pythons. At the same time, Liao Fengyi's formation came into effect. Boom! The tree demon was delighted at trapping its opponent, but suddenly, a thunderous explosion resounded from above. The sky above the giant willow tree became filled with dense dark clouds, occasionally illuminated by flashes of lightning. What? The heavenly thunder tribulation. No tree-like creature was immune to the heavenly thunder tribulation, and the willow tree demon was no exception. It trembled in fear. Activate the formation. The tree demon understood that the appearance of the heavenly thunder was not a coincidence, but connected to the celestial master on the opposite side. Just as it tried to regain control and entangle Liao Fengyi, it saw him raise 2 fingers and shout, "Activate the formation." Boom! As soon as Liao Fengyi's words fell, lightning bolts struck down from the sky, creating a symphony of thunder that encircled the giant willow tree. The tree demon was terrified and abandoned its attempts to trap Liu Fengyi. It hastily commanded the roots to retreat back into the tree hollow. Liu Fengyi remained motionless as he kept his eyes fixed on the tree demon's actions. Soon enough, he made a discovery. Several roots emerged from the hollow tree, carrying 3 girls. It was the same 3 girls that Ahuo had observed earlier, along with another angry-looking girl. At that moment, the tree demon controlled the roots to lift the innocent girls onto the canopy of the giant willow tree. Liu Fengyi realized that the tree demon intended to use the girls as a shield against the heavenly thunder, which was another reason why it captured them. How about that? Didn't expect it, did you? Killing me won't be that easy. The tree demon used the girls' lives as a shield to temporarily distract the heavenly thunder, then turned its attention back to Liu Fengyi. And you will die today. The tree demon knew that the problem lay with Liu Fengyi, and it wouldn't easily let him go. With a furious roar, dozens of roots once again emerged from the ground and attacked Liu Fengyi. I've been waiting for this move. Watching the tree demon's series of countermeasures, Liu Fengyi smirked, and the hand seals in his hands began to change. Rolling thunder accompanies the fire, yang fire and yin fire each taking form. As several roots lunged toward him, Liu Fengyi swiftly dodged and evaded while continuing his hand seals and incantations. Heavenly fire punishes evil, spreading goodness along the way. Earthly fire incinerates the world, benefiting all living beings. In truth, everything was part of Liu Fengyi's plan. He used the heavenly thunder and fire formation to free the girls trapped inside the tree hollow. Thunder hooks fire, and the fiercest fire awakens. Activate the formation. But his true goal was to use the thunder to hook the fire, and use the fire to destroy the tree demon, without harming the lives of those innocent girls. As soon as Liu Fengyi uttered the words "activate the formation," the ground beneath the giant willow tree violently shook. Cracks appeared, and hot gusts of air and black smoke burst forth intermittently. Fire, earthly fire. At this moment, the tree demon finally understood its opponent's true intentions. But it was already too late. From within the cracked fissures, green tongues of fire suddenly emerged. The blue flames seemed capable of incinerating all things, quickly turning the tree roots on the ground into charred remains. In an instant, the flames spread from the giant willow tree, engulfing it in a raging fire. However, the earthly fire appeared cold and eerie. The strange fire soared into the sky, emitting thick black smoke. Trapped in the sea of fire, the tree demon lost its ability to attack. Liu Fengyi kept his gaze fixed on the giant willow tree. As soon as the flames rose, he charged forward, wielding a short knife in his hand. With agile steps, Liu Fengyi leaped onto the canopy of the tree, swiftly slashing several root stems with his short knife. He cradled one of the trapped girls in his arms. Where did this rat come from, disturbing my beauty sleep? At that moment, the drunken old Taoist, who had been soundly asleep, stumbled out of his room, grumbling and cursing. Taoist, catch her. Seeing Ahuo waking up the old Taoist, Liu Fengyi shouted at him and tossed the girl toward the old Taoist. Ah, what? Catch. Catch what? The old Taoist, still groggy from sleep, hadn't fully grasped the situation when a figure was thrown in front of him. Ah, you brat. Are you trying to kill me? Just as the old Taoist uttered his complaint, he fell to the ground. Although his body was resilient, it would be strange if he didn't get injured. Boom! Before the old Taoist could finish his complaints, another figure flew through the air and landed on him, delivering a direct hit. Kid, have you gone mad? The old Taoist was furious after being hit twice in succession and angrily cursed into the air. Meanwhile, Liu Fengyi gently set down the last girl he was carrying and turned his gaze back to the tree demon. Bastard, you dare to ruin my millennium of cultivation. The tree demon was now completely engulfed in the raging fire, letting out agonizing and eerie howls. "Even if I die, I'll take you down with me." Knowing that its own demise was inevitable today, the tree demon had completely lost its mind. It actually wanted to perish together with Liu Fengyi. In an instant, several tree roots, burning like fiery serpents, rapidly charged toward Liu Fengyi. Liu Fengyi didn't dare to slack off and swung his short knife, continuously severing several roots. However, the number of roots kept increasing, and they were all burning with underground infernal fire, causing Liu Fengyi some trouble. After severing several root stems in succession, Liu Fengyi realized that this approach wasn't sustainable. He swiftly stepped back to dodge the attacks and simultaneously formed hand seals with both hands. As soon as the hand seals were formed, a yellow flame suddenly ignited in Liu Fengyi's hands. The heavenly fire appeared crimson red, while the underground infernal fire appeared blue. The fire Liu Fengyi used was the fire of humanity, and it was yellow. This cluster of yellow flames, once launched by Liu Fengyi, transformed into a fierce and swift phoenix in midair, fiercely pouncing on the tree roots. The fireball became even hotter, instantly reducing the tree roots to ashes, which scattered to the ground. But the momentum of the fireball didn't diminish. It continued its direct assault on the struggling tree demon. The tree demon, already weakened by the infernal fire, was now engulfed by the intense flames. It let out a series of agonized screams and turned into dust in an instant. For a moment, the underground infernal fire and the heavenly fire in the sky merged into one, turning the world into a purgatory-like scene. The towering giant willow tree was incinerated by the three flames, and for a while, half of King Liu Town was enveloped in towering flames. The Master's Mysteries. Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 5. Liu Fengyi used the heavenly thunder and earth fire formation to finally trap the Millennium Tree Demon that had killed countless young girls in a sea of flames. No. Does this mean our mansion will also catch fire? The massive and intricate root system of the tree demon caused half of King Liu Town to be engulfed in flames. The Zhang family members who had managed to escape watched in worry as the flames soared from the mansion. As the intensity of the flames subsided, they cautiously made their way back to the Zhang mansion. "Master, did you eliminate the demonic fiend?" "Absolutely. Its spirit is sure to be dispersed." "Master, your magical powers are truly formidable." They entered the courtyard to find the self-proclaimed reincarnation of Chen Tuan Laozu and a young man standing in the middle. People gathered around, eager to inquire about the situation. "Miss, wake up. Darling, darling. Miss, please wake up." At that moment, the two suddenly heard the anxious cries of the Zhang family members next to them. They turned their heads and saw that the master of the Zhang family had discovered the unconscious Miss Zhang. "Please, celestial master, save my daughter. The demon has drained her yin essence. It's not easy to deal with." Upon hearing the plea for help from the Zhang family patriarch, both the elderly Taoist and Liu Fengyi frowned. They understood that the tree demon had absorbed all the yin essence from these girls, causing severe damage to their souls. It was uncertain if they could be saved. "I must go in. Master, please help me. Are you out of your mind? I need to go in." Liu Fengyi had a flash of inspiration and quickly instructed the elderly Taoist. He then looked towards the direction of the giant willow tree. "Saving lives is the priority. I'll be fine." "Hey lad, are you out of your mind?" The elderly Taoist was startled, as it was a raging inferno. However, Liu Fengyi confidently removed his long robe, tidied himself up, and lowered his head before rushing in. "Young lad, be careful. Where is he?" "Over there." With the massive root system and crown of the giant willow tree engulfed in flames, rushing into the fire was equivalent to walking into certain death. Liu Fengyi took a deep breath aimed at the burning location of the tree demon, and charged in like an arrow. At this point, the tree demon's body had turned into charcoal, losing all ability to resist. Liao Fengyi waved his hand, dispersing the flames before reaching the tree demon. With his other hand, he exerted all his strength. With a loud bang, the charred body of the tree demon split open, revealing Liao Fengyi. He shattered the tree demon with a single blow and quickly grabbed something in his hand. "Master, is your friend okay?" "Where is he?" "Master, he's coming out." A minute had passed since Liao Fengyi rushed into the sea of fire. Those outside the fire remained motionless, assuming he was doomed. However, at that moment, an observant person noticed a figure moving within the sea of flames. Within the inferno, the intricate root system of the giant tree continued to twist and turn as the flames burned. This posed quite a challenge for Liao Fengyi. Helpless, he grabbed a thick tree root and swung it. Liao Fengyi was getting increasingly anxious. The force behind his swing was immense, and the powerful wind it generated swept the ground covered by flames, revealing a large gap. "Be careful. Get out of the way." Those outside the fire found themselves in trouble. Numerous burning wood splinters scattered, and a few unfortunate ones who couldn't evade them immediately caught fire. Meanwhile, Liao Fengyi had already rushed out of the sea of flames. He appeared as though the fire god himself had descended, surrounded by white smoke and flames. However, the roaring fire seemed to have no effect on him. "Young lad, are you all right?" As for why Liao Fengyi was adept at using fire and remained unharmed by the blaze, the details will be explained later in the story. It's a wood spirit. "Master, look at this." Yes, it's a willow wood spirit, the essence of the tree demon. After rushing out of the fire, Liao Fengyi regained his composure and handed a green object to the elderly Taoist. "Please, master, you must save the young girls. I beg you. With this, those girls will be safe." Liao Fengyi risked his life to retrieve the wood spirit of the tree demon from the sea of fire. This wood spirit had absorbed the yin essence of the girls, causing their deaths. "Hey kid, this thing is worth a fortune. Don't use it all. Save some for yourself." Ordinary folks may not understand, but this wood spirit is more valuable than any 1,000-year ginseng or 10,000-year polygonum multiflorum. Liao Fengyi didn't ask for a single coin before using the wood spirit to save those 3 girls, and it pained my heart. "Haha, I'm just kidding. Save the people. Save the people." But as soon as he spoke, the old Taoist noticed that the surrounding air pressure seemed to have dropped significantly. After resting for a while, "They'll be fine." Liao Fengyi paid no attention to the old Taoist and divided the Millennium Willow Wood Spirit into 3 parts, feeding them to the 3 surviving girls. The fire burned throughout the night and gradually extinguished at dawn, leaving only a charred stump of the giant willow tree. On behalf of Qingliu Town, we thank the Immortal for exterminating the demon and protecting the people. The owner of the Zhang family, who was the patriarch of the influential Zhang clan in Qingliu Town, expressed his gratitude when he saw the tree demon eliminated and his daughter saved. The Immortal descended to eliminate the demon. We, the people of Qingliu Town, are grateful for the Immortal's benevolence. We will spread the Immortal's name, set up an incense burner, and offer our devotion. Led by the Zhang family, more than 10 people respectfully expressed their gratitude to the old Taoist and Liao Fengyi. They even promised to gather the entire clan's strength to repair the temple and craft a new golden statue for the venerable Chen Tuan Laozu, offering oil and candles on the 1st and 15th of each month. Wait, offerings of incense and fire. What's the use of that useless stuff that can't be eaten or drunk? Because the old Taoist claimed to be an immortal, the gesture of offering incense and fire was an act of gratitude from the Zhang family. However, they didn't expect the old Taoist's words to become increasingly suspicious. "You must give me 100 taels of silver for this." The 1,000-year wood spirit alone is worth 10,000 taels. Unable to bear it any longer, he interrupted the other's words and started calculating the accounts with his fingers. That's about right. Well, good. Hurry, prepare for the immortal. And also prepare a table of food. I'm hungry. Although surprised, the Zhang family agreed since it was their way of showing gratitude for the old Taoist's help in saving King Liu town and preventing the demon from harming people again. According to me, it's not bad to have found a wealthy meal ticket. Why not? I have to eat for at least half a month. Can't stand it. They can't adapt to the way others live. After finishing breakfast, the two of them were arranged by the Zhang family to take a midday nap. If it weren't for Liao Fengyi insisting on leaving, the old Taoist would have surely stayed at the Zhang family's place for a few more days. It's all your fault. If we split it evenly, I could have gotten a good price for the wood spirit. 50 taels are not even enough for me to gamble at the pawn shop. Finally, in the evening, the old Taoist was pulled away from the Zhang family by Liao Fengyi. Liao Fengyi understood that the old Taoist was merely a wandering charlatan. Although he was greedy for money, he wasn't truly malicious and was not unpleasant. Old Taoist, it's been a pleasure knowing you, but I have some matters to attend to. We'll meet again in the future. After leaving King Liu town, Liao Fengyi had no intention of sticking around with the old Taoist. He bid farewell and prepared to leave alone. The world is my home. I roam the world. Little brother, where are you headed? Don't you have any aspirations? Look at me. Old Taoist, what's the matter with you? But unexpectedly, like a piece of sticky plaster, the old Taoist followed right behind Liao Fengyi. I'm going to exterminate demons and monsters, maintaining peace in the world. To eradicate the Shimo at Funyu Mountain and rescue the people from water and fire. Old Taoist, your transformation skills are becoming more and more proficient. Originally, Liao Fengyi wanted to tease the old Taoist, but he didn't expect the old Taoist to perform like a show-off and proudly demonstrate in front of him. Old Taoist, what's the story behind the Shimo? How did the corpse demon come about? This matter is quite long, my friend. Liao Fengyi couldn't help but understand that the old Taoist was putting on an act, but he was still very interested in the Funyu Mountain corpse demon that the old Taoist mentioned. Seeing that Liao Fengyi took the bait, the old Taoist began narrating with a fluctuating tone. It turns out that Funyu Mountain is located in the Central Plains, known as the #1 immortal mountain in the Central Plains. It has always been the first choice for those who seek immortality and pursue the Tao to escape from the world. But a few years ago, a massive earthquake struck the Funyu mountain range, shaking the mountains, shattering the rocks, and causing countless houses to collapse. The people living near the mountains fled, and when they returned after the disaster, they were shocked by what they saw. Many people discovered that a peak called Erlongtu on Funyu Mountain had split open due to the earthquake. From the crack, a massive black hole was revealed, emitting white smoke from time to time. In the midst of that smoke was a sitting corpse. This corpse was adorned in ancient attire and had been dead for an unknown number of years. However, its face appeared rejuvenated, exuding a domineering aura. It seemed as though it could awaken at any moment. What shocked people even more was that this ancient corpse was significantly taller and had long hair and beard, resembling an immortal being. This is a corpse immortal. It has already achieved the Tao. I am the chosen one to guide the spirits of the mortal realm. Just as people were speculating, a plump and big-eared monk suddenly appeared from nowhere. This rotund monk claimed that the corpse was an ancient corpse immortal who would soon awaken and lead everyone in ascending to immortality. Join me in protecting the corpse and cultivating immortality. Let us attain the Tao and be ranked among the immortals. Upon witnessing the already ethereal presence of the ancient corpse, coupled with the persuasive words of the round monk, a movement called the Divine Cult of Immortality began to flourish among the populace. Thousands of people joined the cult in less than 2 years. The monk urged people to protect the corpse and cultivate immortality together. He appealed to the masses to donate all their wealth as a resolute commitment to forsake worldly luxuries and dedicate themselves to the path of becoming immortals. Furthermore, this deceitful monk even encouraged people to pile the bodies of their dying loved ones around the ancient giant corpse, claiming that it would nourish the corpse immortal and expedite its awakening. Not only that, this deceitful monk also recruited a group of sorcerers who excelled in dark arts. They formed the Bone Guardian Squad in the name of protecting the cult. These individuals, always donning skull masks, roamed around, indiscriminately capturing innocent non-followers. They captured innocent villagers and the chosen sacrifices from within the cult every month, throwing them all into the great pit alongside the giant courts. They would then suffocate these people alive, using their lingering spirits to nourish the corpse immortal. After several years of development, almost everyone in the Funyu mountain range had become followers of the cult. Nearly all villages had turned into uninhabited ghost towns. Once fertile and prosperous lands spanning thousands of hectares around the Funyu mountain range had turned into barren wastelands, split open by fissures, stretching for thousands of miles. How can this be called a corpse immortal? It is simply an evil spirit. For the sake of the common people, it must be eradicated. This matter is truly unbelievable. The old Taoist passionately recounted the atrocities committed by the cult that plagued the Funyu mountain range. When it came to discussing the harm caused by this cult, his anger knew no bounds. He wore a righteous expression, as if dedicated to bringing justice and benevolence to the world. I, Lu Dao, am a reincarnation of a pure Yang true man. How can I not intervene? Aren't you a reincarnation of the ancient Qin Tuan patriarch? Liao Fengdi had only recently entered the martial world, so this was the first time he heard about these matters from the old Taoist. If what the old Taoist said was true, then he had to take some action. That's not important. So, young lad, do you want to join me in saving the common people? After all, you just entered the martial world, and finding my master is your secondary goal. Upon hearing this, Liao Fengyi made up his mind. Initially, he had entered the martial world to train, but finding a master was also one of his objectives. Waiting for your words. That's great. Then I'll go with you, and together we shall save the common people. That's what a young hero should do. Seeing Liao Fengyi's agreement, the ecstatic old Taoist couldn't contain his joy. Throughout the journey, he never stopped talking. Before we save the common people, how about we make a stop at the Treasure Bureau and confiscate a few things? Hey, young lad, is it still possible for us to part ways now? Little did Liao Fengyi know that traveling with this eccentric old Taoist would bring him either fortune or calamity. The Master's Mysteries, Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 6. In the morning, as the sky brightened, Liao Fengyi woke up from his slumber. For someone who hadn't slept for 2 days and nights, this sleep felt extremely comfortable. Slept so well. According to the old road's suggestion, they should find a village to stay for the night. However, Liao Fengyi had been living in the mountains since he was young, and had already gotten used to it. He and the old man found a sheltered cliff, lit a fire, and spent the night. Master Dao, did you sleep well last night? Let's tidy up and hit the road. Liao Fengyi silently mocked himself. The old man was nagging about this matter all night. It's not like he dislikes it, but rather finds it troublesome. These people in the martial world are so pretentious. But when Liao Fengyi turned his head to look at the old man, he was immediately stunned. At that moment, the old man was sleeping so soundly, snoring loudly. Help! What's wrong? In this peaceful morning, a cry for help suddenly came from below the cliff, startling not only Liao Fengyi, but also the sleeping old man. Oh no, that beast is going to harm someone. Without bothering to pack their things, they hurried to the edge of the cliff and looked down, only to be surprised by what they saw. Let's go. Let's go down and take a look. It turned out that below the cliff was a small mountain path, and at that moment, a wild howling black dog was viciously attacking an old man. Don't come closer. The old man on the mountain path appeared to be in his 60s, and he was frightened by the ferocious black dog chasing him. He ended up sitting on the ground in a panic. Seizing the opportunity, the ferocious dog barked loudly and pounced on him. This crazy dog was truly vicious. As soon as it pounced on the old man, it bit his arm and then shook its head, tearing off a large piece of flesh. You're crazy. This ferocious dog didn't look like a stray dog, but rather a domesticated one. However, for some reason, it seemed like a starving wolf, swallowing that large piece of flesh whole. Its bloodshot eyes focused on the old man once again. Before the old man could recover from the fear of having his flesh torn off, the ferocious dog let out a strange howl and lunged at the old man's throat. Beast, stay back. Seeing that he was about to be killed by the ferocious dog, the old man truly felt despair. However, at that moment, he suddenly saw a figure rushing towards him, followed by a flying kick that sent the mad dog flying. Old man, are you all right? It was, of course, Liao Fengyi and the old man who had arrived. The old man was clearly dumbfounded by the sudden turn of events. Despite the old man calling out to him several times, he remained silent. Old sir, you're safe now. Please get up. I was so scared. Dao Yi, there's something wrong with this mad dog. While the old man took care of the old man, Liao Fengyi's gaze never left the frenzied dog. He gradually noticed something peculiar. This mad dog not only went insane, but it also seems to have no pain sensation. As the saying goes, dogs and wolves are tough, but vulnerable in the waist area. Logically speaking, Liao Fengyi's kick should have been forceful enough. Yet this ferocious dog seemed unaffected by pain. It got up once again. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Moreover, the injuries on its body made it even more furious. Its eyes turned completely bloodshot, and it viciously locked onto the three people. Howl. Then, with a mouth full of sharp fangs, it leaped forward with a strong push from its hind legs, once again attacking the group. This dog is definitely abnormal. Afraid that the ferocious dog would harm anyone else, Liao Fengyi quickly moved and stood in front of the two old men, directly confronting the raging dog. The mad dog, unaware of the danger before it, lunged at Liao Fengyi fiercely, like a black lightning bolt. Liao Fengyi knew that this kind of beast was agile, so he waited until it was only a foot away before swiftly dodging. Then he transformed his palm into a finger and rapidly struck the back of the dog's head. Liao Fengyi's finger strike was exceptionally powerful, hitting the central nervous system of the vicious dog. With a crack sound, the dog let out a miserable cry. After delivering the strike, Liao Fengyi swiftly moved aside. The ferocious dog rolled over and fell onto the grass beside it. Liao Fengyi stared for a moment and saw that the dog had indeed lost its ability to continue harming others. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. What? This crazy dog is yours? Oh my. Dahai, how did you end up like this? With the ferocious dog subdued, the old man suddenly threw himself onto the dog, crying profusely. Liao Fengyi and the old man finally understood that this mad dog was actually the old man's pet. Sir, what happened in your village these past few days? We've been having strange occurrences. Who knows? Just this morning, everything was fine. The fact that their own dog harmed its owner was already strange to Liao Fengyi and the old man, but the old man went on to say that such strange incidents have been happening in their village. Are there strange occurrences happening in your village too? Yes, our village has been thrown into chaos. The two men found the old man's words peculiar and began questioning him in detail. It seems like there's a great chaos in the world, and demons are starting to appear. As soon as the two men asked about the strange incidents in the village, the old man's face immediately showed fear. He spoke with a grave and nervous expression. "All right, stop working. Let's go home and eat. We understand." Apparently, their village was located just below the foot of the mountain. The land was fertile, allowing everyone to have enough to eat and live a decent life, even though they were not rich. What happened here? But about 5 days ago, a bizarre incident occurred in the village. 2 villagers were unloading their tools, planning to return home with their oxen. Unexpectedly, their normally docile big yellow ox suddenly went mad. What happened to the ox? They say that the old yellow ox's eyes suddenly turned bloodshot, and it started jumping and roaring. Eventually, it violently knocked down its owner and bit into his shoulder with a big mouth. Then it twisted its head and tore off a large piece of flesh from the owner's shoulder with the skin and blood and swallowed it in one gulp. You see, this ox is a herbivorous animal, so eating human flesh is something unprecedented. Has this animal turned into a demon? Old man, are you okay? This action left the 2 witnesses dumbfounded. No one dared to intervene, and the crazed old yellow ox stormed into the village. The old yellow ox rampaged through the village, injuring several people and almost causing fatalities. But unexpectedly, it charged into the stone wall to the south of the village, causing its brain to splatter, and it died on the spot. Aside from the loss of a valuable ox, the villagers were terrified by this strange incident. But the strange occurrences didn't stop there. Soon after, several other domesticated animals like mules, pigs, and donkeys went mad and attacked people. So, you're saying it's not a demon but something else? The most terrifying incident was when a family in the south of the village raised a sheep. Overnight, the sheep bit and killed over a dozen chickens in their home, leaving almost nothing behind. It transformed from a gentle herbivorous animal into a bloodthirsty beast. The sight was unimaginably horrifying. So, even our Dahai has turned into a monster. After hearing the old man's account, both Liao Fengyi and Pao Laodao frowned. If what the old man said was true, then it seemed that something unusual was happening in the village, and they couldn't just ignore it. If this continues, the peace in the village is in jeopardy. However, at that moment, no one noticed a plump little insect silently crawling out of Dahai's ear. "Dao Master, shall we go and take a look at the village?" "That's a good idea. After all, Funyu Mountain is still far away." Just as Liao Fengyi and Pao Laodao were discussing whether to visit the village or not, the little insect quickly crawled into the old man's ear. "We'll pass by the foot of the mountain anyway, so it's a good opportunity to visit. Hey, old man, take us to your village." Pao Laodao was about to invite the old man to accompany them to the village when he noticed that the old man had lowered his head, trembling all over, exhibiting strange behavior. "Hey, old man, what's wrong?" The 2 men noticed the old man's peculiar behavior and were wondering when suddenly the old man lifted his head, revealing a fierce expression with his eyes rolling white. Clearly, he had lost his sanity. How did this old man? It seems like he's possessed by a ghost. Then the old man suddenly moved like a stiff wooden puppet, his limbs rigid, creating an incredibly eerie sight. Ah! Before the 2 could figure out what was happening, the old man opened his mouth wide and let out a strange cry, pouncing towards them. However, both of them were skilled and easily evaded the attack by swiftly dodging. After missing his attack, the old man swiftly changed his position and targeted the 2 again. He then leaped towards them, his legs springing forward. At this moment, he no longer resembled an old man, but exhibited agile and nimble movements. "Oh no, this old man has lost his sanity. We can't harm him, but this is really troublesome." Now, the 2 were in a difficult situation. Just a while ago, the old man was a normal person, but for some unknown reason, he had gone mad. They couldn't harm him, but they also couldn't allow themselves to be injured. Liao Fengyi saw the old man leaping towards him and pushed Pao Lao aside. He swiftly turned his body to face the old man. In order to protect the old man as much as possible, Liao Fengyi seized the old man's wrist, pulling him down from midair. "You think I'm easy to mess with?" Liao Fengyi grabbed the old man's wrist with his left hand and struck him with his right hand. However, at the same time, Pao Lao also stood up. Because Pao Lao stood up behind the old man, Liao Fengyi didn't notice. Thus, his attack continued unabated, striking the old man's throat. "You brat! Do you know how many times you've used me as a human shield? If it weren't for my golden bell shield technique, you would have killed me already." Liao Fengyi didn't expect this outcome. Faced with Pao Lao's frenzy, he could only pretend not to have heard. "All right, let's find our way down the mountain first. It seems like there's a big problem in this village. But for now, the priority is to take the old man back to the village for medical treatment." Liao Fengyi was planning to find a way down the mountain, but he didn't notice that Pao Lao behind him had also become somewhat strange. "You carry the dog, I'll carry the old man, and let's go down." After Liao Fengyi figured out the route, he was about to call Pao Lao to carry the old man and the dog down the mountain. Smack! Unexpectedly, his back was suddenly kicked forcefully. The kick was quite heavy, and if Liao Fengyi didn't have martial arts skills, he would have been seriously injured. "Lao, you?" Liao Fengyi never expected Pao Lao to do this from behind. He turned around to look and realized that Pao Lao had also fallen into the same state as the previous old man. "Lao, how did you also fall victim?" Liao Fengyi saw that Pao Lao's expression was sinister and gloomy, and his body was somewhat stiff. Slowly, Pao Lao approached Liao Fengyi. It seems the effect is quite good when used on people. Meanwhile, in a hidden spot within a nearby forested slope, a mysterious figure was lurking on a giant tree, observing the situation below. Well, this is getting interesting. It appears that all these strange events are related to this person. But who is this person? And how will Liao Fengyi deal with the current predicament? The Master's Mysteries. Tales of Magical Mastery. Episode 7. Master Dao, how did you also fall for the trick? Just when I dealt with that old man, the cunning Dao got the better of Master Liao Fengyi, who was caught off guard and kicked out by the cunning Dao. Master Dao, you have reincarnated as old Patriarch Shen. How could you easily be affected by his attack? Just as Liao Fengyi regained his footing, the cunning Dao walked straight up to him, resembling the zombie just crawled out of a grave. Master Dao, please don't force me. At that moment, the cunning Dao lost consciousness and didn't listen to Liao Fengyi's warnings. Without warning, he lunged forward. Master Dao, my apologies. Then I won't hold back. Facing the cunning Dao's fierce attacks, Liao Fengyi couldn't help but smile wryly. It was evident that the Dao had lost his sanity, and he couldn't physically fight back. It was indeed troublesome. However, the cunning Dao had impressive martial arts skills, and Liao Fengyi couldn't harm him in a short time. Finding a solution as soon as possible was the priority. With this in mind, Liao Fengyi increased his strength and forcefully pushed the cunning Dao back several steps. Reminding himself constantly to act quickly, Liao Fengyi didn't wait for the cunning Dao to steady himself before launching another attack. Master Dao, I had no choice. With full force, Liao Fengyi kicked the cunning Dao several meters away, crashing heavily into a tree trunk. Hearing the loud thud, Liao Fengyi couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt. Ouch, that hurts. Who was that bastard? Unexpectedly, the cunning Dao's body, after the collision, regained consciousness and began crying out in pain. Liao Fengyi, you little scoundrel, you've caused trouble for me again. If one were to speak of the cunning Dao's physical resilience, it was formidable. Despite complaining about the pain, he stood up immediately. However, while he was halfway through his complaint, his body twitched strangely. Then he swiftly launched an attack at Liao Fengyi. If it weren't for Liao Fengyi's quick reaction, he would have suffered a major setback. Seeing that his previous attacks had brought the cunning Dao back to his senses, Liao Fengyi released his punches and kicks. A sweeping leg kick knocked the cunning Dao to the ground. However, the cunning Dao was not weak. He quickly adjusted his body after a flip and pounced on Liao Fengyi once again. Liao Fengyi swiftly dodged and, utilizing the momentum from a large tree, launched a counterattack. Master Dao, please take a rest. Of course, Liao Fengyi couldn't really harm the cunning Dao. After knocking him down with a punch, he immediately dropped to one knee and restrained the cunning Dao. Ahu, search nearby to see if there are any suspicious individuals. Observing the cunning Dao's alternating moments of clarity and confusion, Liao Fengyi realized that the black dog, the old man, and the cunning Dao were likely being controlled by someone using a certain method, and that person was likely nearby. Upon hearing Liao Fengyi's command, Ahu immediately disappeared into the bushes, leaving no trace. Aren't you all together? Liao Fengyi was contemplating how to temporarily bind the cunning Dao when he heard a noise behind him. It turned out that the old man from earlier had regained consciousness. Before Liao Fengyi could finish his sentence, he suddenly felt a faint breeze next to his ear, and a dangerous aura was directed towards him. Reflexively, Liao Fengyi quickly reached out and found himself holding a large insect, only to see that the insect was dark brown all over, but its head was bright red. At this moment, Liao Fengyi grabbed it and couldn't break free. It lowered its head and bit towards Liao Fengyi's hand. Liao Fengyi realized that this brightly colored insect must be highly poisonous. He quickly flicked his hand to throw the insect away, and then took out 5 copper coins from his waist, swiftly tossing them as well. These were Liao Fengyi's handy hidden weapons, the 5 Emperor copper coins. Each coin landed on one of the 5 positions surrounding the poisonous insect, forming a 5-element fire formation. In an instant, the insect burst into flames. "You brat! Why are you pressing me down?" The poisonous insect, burned by the fire, writhed for a moment before dying. At that moment, the incapacitated broken toast also regained consciousness. "Sir Toast, please listen to me. I have a reason." Liao Fengyi tried to explain, but the broken toast, after getting up, immediately interrogated him, accusing him of making a move against him. "Sir Toast, come and have a look. It seems to be a southern wilderness goo insect. How could it appear here?" To avoid embarrassment, Liao Fengyi hurriedly walked over to the dead insect and pointed it out to the broken toast. "Damn it!" The others ignored their confusion, and the person hidden in the tree, upon seeing his goo insect being burned to death, gritted his teeth in anger. "To dare to kill my divine insect! Watch me get another one from the immortal. I won't let you off." Just as he was about to take revenge, a small dark figure floated down lightly onto his shoulder like a falling leaf. The man thought it was a leaf from the tree and reached out to brush it away. But to his surprise, when he extended his hand, he touched something furry. As he turned his head in astonishment, he felt a sharp pain in his finger. He realized that a large rat was biting his finger tightly. Ah, a rat. This person seemed to have a natural fear of rats, and he was so scared by the sudden appearance of the large rat that he jumped up high. However, he forgot that he was currently perched on a tree. Liao Fengyi and the others were examining the charred goo insect when they suddenly heard a scream from the forest behind them, followed by a splash. While the others were puzzled, Liao Fengyi understood clearly that it must be Ahu. The person who screamed must be the one hiding in the shadows, controlling the poisonous insects to harm people. "Sir Toast, come with me." Liao Fengyi accurately pinpointed the location and motioned for the broken toast to follow him. As they entered the forest, they made a discovery. Fengi, this guy doesn't seem like a goo master. Well, could we have made a mistake somewhere? As it turned out, there was indeed a person lying under the tree. However, he had already lost consciousness, but his appearance was far different from the mysterious Miaojiang wizard. Let me wake him up first. Ask about the situation. Seeing that the person had been knocked unconscious, Liao Fengyi wanted to approach and wake him up to find out more. Hold on. There's something wrong with this guy. Why is he moving? Just then, the broken toist stopped him with his words. Liao Fengyi took a closer look, and indeed, at this moment, the man's head twitched occasionally, but it didn't seem like he was moving on his own. It looked more like there was something under him. Before long, the man's head tilted, and a few claws emerged first, followed by a dark object crawling out from under his head. Once that thing came out, Liao Fengyi and the broken toist could clearly see that it was a peculiar insect about half a foot long. The insect had 6 legs, similar to human fingers, and a long tail with a bone spike at the end. When it stood up, its large mouth was filled with sharp teeth. This thing looks really disgusting. At this moment, the strange insect also noticed the two of them. It opened its big mouth and let out a loud scream, its body arching. "Sir Toist, be careful." Then they saw the tail of the insect arching like a sharp arrow, shooting towards the two of them. Liao Fengyi knew that this insect was extremely poisonous, so he quickly pushed the broken toist away and dodged backward. After missing its target, the strange insect fell behind the two of them. Liao Fengyi didn't want to let the insect escape again, so he quickly extended his hand and threw a dagger. This dagger was an ancient divine weapon passed down by his master. It specialized in dealing with evil spirits. When it pierced the strange insect, the insect let out a scream, followed by white smoke emanating from its body. Its body quickly melted as if it was splashed with sulfuric acid. This smell. This insect is probably a corpse insect. Suddenly, a foul stench of rotting bodies permeated the air. The broken toist, who had spent a long time in the Jianggu, already had a rough idea. "Hey, who are you guys? Ouch, it hurts." Just as the two of them were analyzing the source of the corpse insect, they heard a man's voice behind them. "New Sanjin, why is it you?" "Gee, Uncle J." At this moment, the old man also followed behind. As soon as he entered the forest, he saw the man, and then he shouted. It turned out that the old man and the man knew each other. They were from the same village. "Okay, so it's you causing chaos in the village." "It's not me. I don't know anything." After listening to the old man's complaints and explanations, he finally understood. It turned out that all the strange incidents in the village recently were caused by New Sanjin controlling the insects. "I won't let you off, you brat." "Uncle J, I don't know what happened to me." The old man couldn't stand it anymore and rushed forward, scolding and hitting New Sanjin. Liao Fengyi and the broken toist looked at the corpse insect on the ground and roughly understood what had happened. They quickly pulled the two apart. "I did it, but I don't understand why I did such a thing." In response to the old man's questioning, New Sanjin rubbed his aching head and stuttered. He couldn't explain it clearly, as if he was also confused. "All right, old man, let him think it over." "Sanjin, you must explain this to me." The old man had watched New Sanjin grow up and couldn't believe that he would harm the villagers like this. With Liao Fengyi's persuasion, the anger finally subsided. "New Sanjin, think carefully about who put the insects on you. It didn't grow on its own." Finally, both of them calmed down. Liao Fengyi then carefully asked New Sanjin if he had encountered any strange incidents or strange people in the past few days. "Strange person? Let me think. It seems. New Sanjin was also very confused about the things he had done. When he heard Liao Fengyi's question, he furrowed his brows and carefully recalled. "Don't rush. Take your time." "Ah, My head hurts. It seems. However, for some reason, his memories of the past few days were very vague. Now, as he tried to think, his head felt like it was being pricked by needles. Yes, 3 days ago, there was a person. He was a... Although the pain was unbearable, New Sanjin gradually remembered the events of the past few days. Ah, my head hurts. That person was an old beggar. You brat. Endure it. Next, the people listened as New Sanjin held his head in pain, intermittently recounting the appearance of a strange person who had appeared in the village a few days ago. The Master's Mysteries. Tales of Magical Mastery. Episode 8. My Cow. It turns out that the mad cow in the village a few days ago was owned by Sanjin. When he saw the cow dead, he was really heartbroken. But there's no other choice. Life still has to go on. Sanjin brought a cart and pulled the cow back home, thinking that no matter what, he had to butcher it and sell the meat. It would at least be some income. However, just as he was about to slaughter the cow, a dark brown bug crawled out of the old yellow cow's ear and jumped onto his arm. Sanjin found the bug's strange appearance a bit odd, but he didn't pay much attention to it. He reached out to try to squash the bug to the ground. But before he could do so, the bug fiercely bit his hand, and at the same time, the clamp on its tail clamped onto Sanjin's hand. A piercing pain surged through him, causing this burly man to scream. As the pain subsided, Sanjin felt that more than half of his body had gone numb. He inwardly thought, "This bug is poisonous." However, as soon as this thought arose, his body became immobile. Sanjin felt a blackout in front of his eyes and collapsed to the ground. Tap, tap. Sanjin never imagined that the bug would be so toxic. His body was numb and unable to move. His vision was darkening, and he felt that he was about to be poisoned to death. But at that moment, strange footsteps approached him. "Help me." Sanjin strained his eyes and saw that it was an old beggar with only one leg standing in front of him. But at this moment, he couldn't even complete his plea for help. Don't worry, I will definitely save you." The old beggar limped around Sanjin twice, and with a smirk, he finally spoke. "This is my treasure." The old beggar pulled out an even bigger bug from his clothes. This bug looked even more terrifying, clearly extremely venomous. The old beggar reached out and placed the large bug on the back of Sanjin's head. Immediately, Sanjin smelled a strong rotten stench, but he couldn't move his body at this point. He could only let the terrifying bug crawl on his head. Then the bug exerted force with its 6 legs and deeply burrowed into Sanjin's scalp, while a poisonous sting on its tail pierced into the gap of Sanjin's shin bone. After another intense pain, Sanjin completely passed out, and the old beggar had disappeared at some point. A long time later, Sanjin regained consciousness. After he crawled up from the ground, he felt like he had forgotten something important. It should have been crucial, but he just couldn't remember it. Every thought caused excruciating headaches. But there was one thing he couldn't forget. His biggest asset, the yellow cow, had died. Why did it have to happen to him? He felt that the heavens were particularly unfair to him. For some reason, that sense of resentment in his heart kept growing infinitely, making Sanjin feel like his whole being was about to explode. "Is this the reason you harm people?" I don't know why I did it." Later on, Sanjin began using the venomous bug that bit him to harm other villagers. Now that he had regained his senses, he couldn't understand why he had done such evil things. He was also controlled and lost his sanity due to the bug. "We should go back to your village as soon as possible." The mention of the villagers stirred something in Liao Fengyi's heart. Since Sanjin was also being controlled by someone else, it meant that there was another true Gu master behind it all. Would he harm others again? Hurry. Otherwise, that Gu master will harm more people. Wait for me. Upon hearing Liao Fengyi's analysis, Everyone was shocked and disregarded rest, hastily running down the mountain. Sanjin's village was located at the foot of the mountain. The village was not large, consisting of only 50 to 60 households. Due to its remote location, it had been spared from the ravages of war, and the residents lived relatively well-off lives. As they ran into the village, they immediately noticed something was amiss. Why is there no one in the village? This is not right. Our village is not usually like this. It was noon, yet the village was completely empty, not a single soul in sight. Quick, let's hide in the back. Don't come closer. The group ran back and forth in the village several times until they heard someone shouting near the threshing ground. They hurriedly ran towards the sound. But as soon as they arrived at the threshing ground, they were stunned by what they saw. Don't come closer. It turned out that the villagers were indeed gathered here, but they were under attack by a group of strong men. The elderly, women, and children were protected at the back, while the frontline villagers, though armed with sticks, were visibly frightened. These people are from the brick kiln in the west of the village, right? Why are they? It appeared that these people were brick workers from the kiln behind the village. They seemed to have also fallen under the control of the goo worms, and now they were attacking the villagers. Sanjin, take uncle, and hide. We'll handle this. Otherwise, I and Dao Master, hide for now. All right. Before Liao Fengyi and the others could come up with a solution, those people abandoned their attack on the villagers and turned towards them. These people, controlled by the goo worms, had lost all consciousness. They could only emit strange howls, resembling ferocious beasts, as they charged forward. But this posed a dilemma for Liao Fengyi. After all, these were ordinary people, and he couldn't be too ruthless. Besides, causing severe injuries or even death wouldn't sit well with him. Liao Fengyi held back, but the same couldn't be said for those people. They attacked ferociously, using headbutts, bites, scratches, and grabs. Liao Fengyi had no choice but to dodge and strike their vulnerable spots. After a few rounds, although he managed to knock down several people, Liao Fengyi himself was in a sorry state. The situation wasn't any better for Dao Master. Engaged in a fierce struggle with a few people, he had sustained several wounds, putting him at a disadvantage. Kid, this won't do. They've started attacking the villagers, and we can't protect everyone. But this old Dao Master, having spent a long time in the martial world, carefully observed the surroundings as he fought. He noticed that something was amiss and immediately shouted to Liao Fengyi. Liao Fengyi, while pinning down one person, heard the shout from Dao Master and turned his head to look in the other direction. When he looked over, he indeed saw several kiln workers taking advantage of the fight between Liao Fengyi and Dao Master and rushing towards the villagers. The scene became chaotic, filled with cries and strange screams. Fortunately, the villagers had Liao Fengyi and Dao Master as their backbone, so they were not as panicked as before. Several young men wielding sticks engaged in combat with the kiln workers. Turning his head, he saw several brickyard workers taking advantage of the battle between Liao Fengyi and the old Taoist and rushing towards the villagers. The cries and strange noises filled the air, creating chaos. Fortunately, the villagers had Liao Fengyi and the old Taoist as their backbone, so they were not as panicked as before. Several young people armed with sticks engaged in a fight with the brickyard workers. Although the brickyard workers had lost their sanity and acted somewhat crazy, fortunately, the villagers outnumbered them, and for a while, they weren't at a disadvantage. They managed to bring down several of the workers. But this is Lao Zhao. Let's all attack together. Don't be afraid. I just can't bring myself to go all out. But some of these workers are also villagers from our village, so everyone hesitates to fight them too fiercely. Kid, where are you going? If this continues, there might be casualties. Finding a moment, Liao Fengyi and the old Taoist gathered together. The situation in front of them was too chaotic. They needed a good plan. At that moment, Liao Fengyi noticed a hemp rope hanging on the earthen wall behind him. He quickly turned around and rushed towards it. Liao Fengyi took down the long rope and conveniently picked up a bamboo pole from the corner of the wall. He tied the rope to one end of the bamboo pole. "Old Taoist, get ready." Then, with a swing of his hand, Liao Fengyi threw the bamboo pole forward. Old Taoist, hearing Liao Fengyi's call, didn't quite understand what was going on, and before he knew it, a gust of wind brushed past him, and the bamboo pole had already flown by. No time to explain. "Kid, couldn't you have given me a heads up?" Receiving the bamboo pole in his hand and seeing the hemp rope, the old Taoist instantly understood. Just as a few people were rushing over, the old Taoist twisted his body, dodging the crowd and circling around behind the brickyard workers, cooperating with Liao Fengyi. Then he pulled the hemp rope in his hand, and those people were instantly caught in the rope, held together. In fact, this was Liao Fengyi's plan. They couldn't harm or injure those people, so they could only temporarily bind them together and then slowly remove the parasites. Now that there was a solution, the villagers didn't hesitate. They immediately found long ropes and took action. With many people, things were easier to handle, and with a common goal, the group of brickyard workers was quickly surrounded by the villagers. In less than a quarter of an hour, this group of people was all tied up by the villagers. As long as their movements were restricted, the power of the parasites couldn't be exerted. Damn it. It's fortunate that this happened in the village. If it were in the capital city, controlling so many people, we'd be plotting to seize power. The situation was under control, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking back to the frenzied scene just now, everyone couldn't help but shudder. Thank you, two wizards, otherwise our village would have suffered. We will definitely capture that sorcerer. Everyone, rest assured. The villagers expressed their gratitude, and the old Taoist and Liao Fengyi were also influenced by their sentiments. They vowed to catch the sorcerer and protect the peace of the village. Don't just thank us. Bring out the roasted chicken and braised pork knuckles. Even the celestial master needs to eat. Yes, yes. Hurry, go prepare meals for the celestial master, especially the old Taoist, who now calls himself Zhang, the celestial master. He immediately started shouting and bustling around. Hey, it's getting more interesting. But they don't know that not far from the threshing ground, in a small grove, the corner of an old beggar's mouth curled up. Then this old man will accompany you and have some fun. The Master's Mysteries, Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 9. Because all of you, let this old man accompany you for some fun. You all owe me. At night, the eerie and hoarse voice of the old beggar echoed in the woods. So, who exactly is this old beggar who harms people with evil curses? Let's play a little game. In the southwestern border of the late Ming Dynasty, there was a mysterious and bizarre place, filled with various occult practices, witchcraft, and black magic that had been circulating for thousands of years, gradually forming their own spheres of influence. My leg has been hurting for many years. Roll up your pants. Let me take a look. In a relatively prosperous town nestled among the mountains, there were almost several medical clinics on every street, and business was thriving. The pain becomes even more unbearable on cloudy and rainy days. No problem. Lie down on the bed and roll up your pants. On this day, a man in his 40s, dressed as a farmer, came to Zhang Family Clinic complaining of excruciating knee pain. As soon as I move, it hurts badly. Are those insects in the jar? Don't worry, you'll feel better in a moment. Master Zhang Pishi took a glance and didn't pay much attention. He had treated hundreds of cases of rheumatic leg pain in his over 40 years of practice. Yes, these are gu bees, bred with our Zhang family's secret medicine for hundreds of generations. Like other Pishis, Zhang Pishi treated human diseases using gu worms. At this moment, he took a small bamboo tube from the cabinet and placed several large horseflies on the man's knee. Ouch, it hurts. Hold on, it'll be better soon. As soon as these 4 large horseflies landed on the man's knee, they instinctively found the acupuncture points and stung deeply into his flesh with their stingers. Ouch, it's burning. The man screamed in pain, but then he felt a scorching heat in his knee joint, causing his whole body to tremble. All right, the cold air has been drawn out. The intense heat gradually subsided. However, the horseflies, which had been bright red just moments ago, now turned pale blue and fell to the ground as if frozen. Come down and walk around. See how it feels. Is it really better? Just a little bit. Master Zhang carefully wrapped the 4 horseflies in gauze and turned to the man, saying it's done. However, the man seemed skeptical. Is it really better? It doesn't hurt anymore. But as the man hesitated and got off the bed, standing on the ground, he realized that his decade-long cold knee pain was truly gone. Don't worry, our Zhang family clinic has been here for hundreds of years. We would never deceive anyone. Master Zhang looked at the man's face, filled with surprise and excitement, but he remained indifferent because he had long been accustomed to the behavior of patients after their pain was relieved. Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Here's the consultation fee. Great. Zhang Bai, come and collect the consultation fee. Zhang Bai, where did that kid run off to? The grateful man handed over the consultation fee, and Master Zhang called his young apprentice several times to collect the payment, but there was no response. Youngsters these days, always causing trouble and unable to stay put. That lazy boy keeps slacking off every few days. Meanwhile, this is one of the 3 major evil arts in the southern border called Art of Gu. While legitimate practitioners use it to treat and save lives, those with ill intentions have a different approach. On a hillside about 3 miles from the town, several young girls were picking tea leaves. From a distance, the green mountains, willow trees, and tea bushes created a picturesque scene, accompanied by the sound of laughter from the young girls. I'll leave early today. Are you going to see him again? He finished work early today. We made plans. Most of the tea-picking girls were around 18 or 19 years old, the age when they were at their most beautiful, and also when their hearts were beginning to open up. Naturally, they were always eager to chat with the boys from the village. Not far from this tea plantation, a man's gaze had never left one of the girls. However, at this moment, a black insect in the man's hand suddenly jumped onto a wild flower beside him. With a few bites, it left a gap in the flower stem. Before long, the flower stem snapped, and a beautiful wild flower fell into the man's hand. This man is Zhang Zhenqi's disciple, Zhang Bai, and the girl he has been staring at is called King Mei, a famous beauty from the nearby villages. King Mei, this is for you. I wanted to. Zhang Bai has liked King Mei for a long time, and many people know that he always hovers around her. I don't want it. You should keep it for yourself. But everyone also knows that he doesn't stand a chance. Not only is Zhang Bai physically unattractive, but he also has an extremely unsociable personality. He never likes to interact with people and has a slight stutter in his speech. It's like a toad wanting to eat swan meat. Don't do this anymore. I have someone I like now, and you're really annoying. Just because they live in the same town, King Mei doesn't want to break ties completely. But today is different. King Mei is in a hurry to meet Ah Shui, a young man from the village, and she speaks decisively. Please don't appear in front of me again. Those few harsh words from King Mei sting Zhang Bai's heart with intense hatred. Despite his unattractive appearance, he has an inflated ego and always believes that no one can surpass him, and he cannot tolerate being looked down upon. Fine, then, don't blame me. Not to mention that the person King Mei now likes is someone he has liked for many years. In his mind, If he likes a girl, she should like him even more. Now that King Mai has fallen in love with someone else, it fills him with bitterness. It's unclear what method this guy used, but suddenly a completely black venomous insect flew out from his body and headed straight for King Mai. At this moment, King Mai, feeling joyful after resolutely rejecting Zhang Bai's advances, is thinking about meeting Ah Shui and is blissfully unaware that a black insect has entered her ear. As soon as she feels a sharp pain in her ear, before she can make a sound, she suddenly feels her vision going dark and her head spinning. Hey, come with me. The venomous insect injects venom into King Mai's brain through her ear canal, and at this point, Zhang Bai has complete control over her. Initially, King Mai despised Zhang Bai, but upon hearing Zhang Bai's command, she foolishly followed him into the woods. Zhang Bai isn't foolish. He didn't dare bring King Mai back to the village. Instead, he brought her to a small cabin located 5 or 6 miles away from the village, where herbalists occasionally reside. Once inside the cabin, Zhang Bai couldn't wait any longer and pushed King Mai onto the bed. The evil fire in his heart had already reached its boiling point. King Mai. To be honest, Zhang Bai has fantasized about this scene countless times in his mind. Now that King Mai is truly lying in front of him, he is nervously trembling. But if a beauty is lying in front of him, wouldn't he be a fool not to do anything? Zhang Bai swallowed a mouthful of saliva and pounced towards King Mai. King Mai, are you there? But just at that moment, the door of the cabin was suddenly kicked open, startling Zhang Bai. Zhang Bai, so it's you. What do you want to do to King Mai? Zhang Bai turned around and found that it was Ah Shui, along with several other young men from the village. Ah Shui and King Mai were deeply in love, and seeing this situation as soon as they entered, anger rushed to their heads. How did you find us? Zhang Bai couldn't understand. He had arranged everything so carefully, yet he was easily discovered. For a moment, he couldn't grasp what had happened. You bastard! I'll beat you to death. But upon closer inspection, Zhang Bai noticed a small lump protruding from Ah Shui's arm, pulsating continuously. Zhang Bai understood in his heart. You've secretly made a lifelong commitment. Frantically, he grabbed King Mai's wrist and indeed found a wriggling lump on her arm. It turns out that they had planted a love curse on him, and the curses mutually attracted each other, leading them to this place. Who do you think you are? Mind your own business. Asking for death. Ah Shui, unable to contain his love for King Mai any longer, swung a stick fiercely and struck Zhang Bai's head. Ah! With all his might, Ah Shui struck Zhang Bai, sending him tumbling out. The others nearby, fearing that Ah Shui might cause serious harm, hurriedly rushed forward to stop him from charging again. Zhang Bai, who you think you are? If you dare to harass King Mai again, I dare to beat you to death. Although Zhang Bai had indeed done something immoral, the group of young men gathered around, wanting to give him a good beating to teach him a lesson. You're right. At this moment, Zhang Bai struggled to crawl up from the ground and spoke apologetically, although his hand quietly reached into his clothes. Who am I to you? Suddenly, taking advantage of the others' unpreparedness, Zhang Bai swiftly raised his hand. Instantly, several small black shadows flew rapidly towards the group, catching them off guard and unable to dodge. They were directly hit. What is this? It bites. Insects. After the group realized what was happening, they found small dark green insects on their bodies. These insects, once attached, would open their mouths and bite, burrowing into the flesh. Soon, all 4 of them succumbed to the venom. These small black insects were highly poisonous, causing numbness and severe stiffness throughout their bodies. In terms of appearance, I'm naturally better than all of you. Looking at the group of people who had been poisoned and fell to the ground, Zhang Bai smirked. But I, Zhang Bai, have skills. There are very few people in this world who can match me. Zhanbai's heart was exceptionally dark, filled with intense resentment towards the slightly better-looking young men. He hated that he was cursed with an unattractive appearance. "I will make you witness it. King Mai becoming my woman." At this moment, all the darkness within him exploded. Zhanbai had reached the point of madness. "Zhanbai, have you gone crazy?" However, just at that moment, a majestic voice sounded from outside the small cabin, raising evil curses, violating the clan rules. "Hand over his evil curses, or do you want to live?" The person who arrived was the clan chief of the Miao tribe in the vicinity. Seeing that Zhanbai was using evil curses to harm others, his expression immediately turned grave. "Clan chief." Zhanbai saw the red mark on the back of the clan chief's hand, indicating that he was the clan chief, and he was startled. But this cunning individual quickly reacted, pushing open the window and attempting to escape. However, his ankle suddenly felt a sharp pain. He knew he had been bitten by the clan chief, and immediately he commanded a few insects to suck out the venom. He quickly crawled up and fled towards the depths of the forest. Gather the clan members and search for Zhanbai. The Miao tribe has always been focused on saving people, and they have always opposed the evil practices of using insects to harm others. They never expected to have such a wicked person within their tribe. The voice of the clan chief turned cold. Zhanbai, driven by determination, hurriedly entered the dense forest of the southwest's 100,000 mountains. "When you see Zhanbai, kill him without mercy." "Understood, clan chief." But being injured by the clan chief, it will be really difficult for him to survive. The Master's Mysteries. Tales of Magical Mastery. Episode 10. Chief, something's not right. What's the matter? Why the panic? Quickly, many villagers were summoned and gathered in front of the small wooden house. The black scriptures from the ancestral archives have been stolen. At that moment, a young man who was in charge of safeguarding the village's scriptures rushed over, saying that the black scriptures containing the forbidden curse techniques had been replaced without anyone noticing. "This is bad. It contains harmful spells. It must be Zhanbai. I knew he would resort to dark magic." The black scriptures were passed down by the ancestors of the village, but were never allowed to be practiced by future generations, fearing that those who learn it would turn malevolent and cause harm. Once the forbidden curse techniques emerge, the consequences are unimaginable. Each generation of chiefs has desired to destroy this book, but being a relic of the ancestors, they couldn't bring themselves to do it. Instead, they assigned people to guard it diligently. Unfortunately, an incident has occurred. No matter the cost, we must capture Zhanbai. Yes, yes. At this point, the chief also deduced that the black scriptures must have been stolen by Zhanbai. This cunning individual with ill intentions cannot be spared, so the chief issued a stern command. He must have fled in that direction. Let's split up and search. The villagers, known for their simplicity and unity, immediately sprang into action upon hearing the chief's command. They rushed into the dense forest, searching for Zhanbai. Speaking of Zhanbai, due to his injured leg, he hadn't gotten far and was hiding behind a large tree. Every time the villagers passed by him, his heart raced. Meanwhile, the leg bitten by the curse worm had swelled up. Although he managed to sever the blood flow upward using his self-raised venomous insects, the result was gradual necrosis of half his leg. Let's search over there. But at that moment, several villagers approached with torches, getting closer to his hiding spot. Zhanbai endured the pain, trying not to make a sound, but an insect on the tree trunk chirped loudly. The spirit worms are calling from over there. He's hiding over there. How could Zhanbai not know that those were the village-raised insects, specialized in locating people and raising the alarm? He sighed inwardly, realizing that he couldn't escape the pursuit of his fellow villagers within these mountains. Chase him. It's Zhang Bai. Knowing he couldn't surrender without a fight, Zhang Bai gritted his teeth, enduring the pain in his leg, and hobbled away. He disappeared into the forest, fleeing forward. However, within these mountains, where could he possibly run? Zhang Bai was chased by the relentless villagers until he reached the edge of a cliff. Due to inertia, Zhang Bai's foot stepped on the edge of the cliff, causing loose stones to slide down. Startled, Zhang Bai quickly halted his steps. He realized he had reached the cliff of despair and had truly reached a dead end. But it was too late to turn back now. The villagers were catching up from behind. There he is. He can't escape now. Soon, the villagers formed an encircling circle, trapping Zhang Bai at the edge of the cliff. Hand over the black scriptures, and I'll spare your life. In a short while, the chief arrived as well. For Zhang Bai, the chief's concern was more about the black scriptures than his life. It was something that couldn't tolerate any slip-ups. Spare me. Do you think I can survive in this village? Upon hearing the chief's words, Zhang Bai glanced at the abyss behind him and then burst into a cold laughter. Considering he was already unwelcome in the village and had committed such acts, how could he continue living there? Even if I die, I won't let you all off the hook. He didn't believe he was wrong, but instead placed all his resentment onto the villagers. He felt that every single one of them had let him down. I won't spare any of you. Each and every one of you. One must admit, Zhang Bai was quite decisive. After cursing fiercely, he suddenly leaned backward and plunged off the cliff. This action shocked everyone present. The simple-minded villagers had never witnessed such a radical and resolute act in their entire lives. In the hearts of the villagers, the 100-foot cliff was considered a place of certain death. Below the cliff was a raging river, and falling into it meant certain demise. And indeed, after Zhang Bai fell into the water, his consciousness quickly became hazy. The water currents were turbulent and uncontrollable, and he was soon swept away by the rushing water. Not far from the 100-foot cliff was a massive waterfall of the same height. If someone were to fall from here, there would be no doubt about their death. Zhang Bai, already unconscious, swallowed several mouthfuls of water and had long passed out. Following the water flow, he plummeted down the waterfall. However, in this world, there are often many unforeseen circumstances, and it turns out that even someone who appears to be certain of death can miraculously survive. After Zhang Bai fainted, he was carried by the current to a shallow sandbank several miles downstream. A few waves pushed him onto the rocks by the riverbank. After a while, following a few coughs, Zhang Bai gradually regained consciousness, spitting out several mouthfuls of water. He was still groggy but awake. Zhang Bai couldn't believe that he had actually survived. However, he felt no sense of relief at this moment. He had lost all feeling in his right leg, and he knew he had become crippled. Using a branch he picked up, Zhang Bai propped himself up and stumbled away from the riverbank. By now, his right leg had completely necrotized, emitting a strong stench of decay. This beggar stinks. Can't even let us eat in peace. But he didn't care about such remarks at this moment. His eyes were fixed on the steamed buns in front of him. Zhang Bai couldn't remember how long it had been since he had eaten anything. He was starving to the point of feeling weak. Annoying. Get lost. Go eat somewhere else. I'm doing business. The steamed bun vendor wrinkled his brow upon catching a whiff of the rotten stench coming from Zhang Bai. He absent-mindedly grabbed a steamed bun and threw it towards him. The steamed bun landed on the ground in front of Zhang Bai, covered in mud. But he didn't mind at all, and quickly picked it up. As he ate the steamed bun, Zhang Bai didn't see the vendor's goodwill, but rather felt humiliated. He engraved this humiliation in his heart and vowed to seek revenge one day. Leaving the town, Zhang Bai plunged into the forest again. From his pocket, he took out the black scriptures that the villagers had guessed he had stolen. With this book, he would unleash a storm of bloodshed in the martial world. According to the book, In order to cultivate the most powerful goo worms, one had to use human flesh as nourishment. And now, with his rotting leg, he seemed to be the perfect candidate. Numerous flesh maggots had already infested his leg. Zhang Bai was truly ruthless. Following the instructions in the book, he chanted a few incantations and bit his finger, drawing blood. He used his own blood to feed the goo worms and offered his own flesh and blood as sustenance. Few people in the history of goo cultivation had done something so insane. Zhang Bai's method proved effective. Before long, the mutated maggots turned completely black and grew rows of sharp teeth. Their frenzy for devouring flesh became even more ferocious. Soon, under Zhang Bai's control, the numerous mutated worms gnawed off half of his right leg. The pain was unbearable for anyone, but Zhang Bai remained silent, gritting his teeth and persevering. His heart had already been completely twisted, consumed by resentment. Staring at his right leg, which was bitten off mercilessly, Zhang Bai's heart was filled with extreme resentment. He believed that all of this was caused by the unfairness of fate and society. He wanted revenge. He wanted to make everyone pay the price. And so, he watched helplessly as his right leg was devoured completely by those worms. This batch of evil goo worms became Zhang Bai's most sinister creatures. They were constantly refined and became his most powerful weapons. For 10 long years, Zhang Bai lived outside as a beggar, committing all sorts of evil deeds. His heart grew increasingly ruthless. Only when he witnessed life after life struggling and dying before his eyes did he feel a bit satisfied. Later, he secretly returned to the village and used the evil goo worms to cruelly take the lives of hundreds of people in the village. Qing Mei and A Shui were tortured to the extreme by him. Afterward, no one saw Zhang Bai again. Many people thought he was dead, unaware that good people don't live long, while calamities endure for thousands of years. He roamed to the northern region, still disguising himself as an old beggar, evoking sympathy from others, but continuing to commit wicked deeds. Hey, young people have courage. Liao Feng and Old Dao resolved the crisis in the village and were just about to take a rest when they heard a sinister laughter coming from the woods behind them. Hey, I'll play with you guys. Everyone turned around to see a ragged old beggar with disheveled hair emerging from the woods. I wonder what skills this handsome young man possesses. I really dislike you. With a fierce and wicked smile on his face, the old beggar appeared boldly in front of everyone, completely disregarding the hundreds of people present. Your good-looking skin will be eaten by my worms. At that moment, he extended his hands, and numerous small dark shadows crawled out from all over his body. Taoist, it seems this person is the one causing trouble behind the scenes. When everyone saw what was crawling on his body, their bodies involuntarily trembled, and their scalps went numb. Here, they saw many terrifying goo worms slowly crawling out, the kind that controlled the minds of people like Nu Sanjin and others. None of you can escape. In the blink of an eye, the old beggar's body was covered in goo worms of various sizes, and he sinisterly locked onto everyone's gaze. Faced with such eerie and terrifying attacks, everyone's hearts couldn't help but be on guard.